Hello again, folks, and welcome back to Let's Read the Book of Fables from The Wolf Among Us. Fantastic Telltale game. We just finished Grendel last time. Let's continue with Bluebeard. Wealthy scoundrel. Bluebeard managed to escape the homelands with his riches intact and continues to be one of the wealthiest fables in New York. The Fabletown government depends on his generous contributions, and he often uses this influence for his own benefit. As a former serial killer, he claims his days of decapitating his brides are over. But even if he was able to leave his violent ways in the homelands, that has not stopped him from making the occasional trip down crooked lane. Bigbys Mercy. In the days leading up to the Exodus, the big bad wolf hunted armies of men and goblins in the Black Forest. These invading forces had driven off the great beast's preferred quarry, and their own flesh was rotten with corruption, hardly a suitable replacement. He made it his game to destroy their camps, devour their night watchmen, and disrupt their supply trains while sparing their prisoners. One day, he broke their ranks and discovered a particular woman they held captive. Her skin was white as snow, but her hair was dark as the night sky. As dark as the night sky. He approached her, and she, knowing no sword could match the giant wolf's power, bravely placed her shackles in the beast's mouth. He freed her, but years would pass before the two met again in the Mundy world. Bigbys Vengence. Long ago in the homelands, the North Wind fell in love with a blazing white she-wolf. Taking canine form, he courted her and stayed by her side for 2 seasons. However, the wind by nature must change direction, and North's temperament carried him back to his wintry castle. The she-wolf was heartbroken, and soon after her lover fled, she gave birth to a litter of cubs, including the one that would become the big bad wolf of legend. Watching his mother die of sadness and unrequited love, young Bigby Wolf swore vengeance against the capricious North Wind. 7 times the beast journeyed to the great castle, but was no match for the elemental might of his father. Having failed to taste vengeance, he swore to think no more of his dead mother or loathsome father. Buried hatred, however, is seldom forgotten. Ichabods Denial, the legend of Sleepy Hollow. During his days in Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane fell in love with a wealthy young woman named Katrina Van Tressel. She was beautiful and very rich, but that meant she also caught the attention of another suitor, Abraham Braun Van Brunt. As Ichabod's rival, Brom would plan nasty pranks in order to humiliate the often superstitious schoolteacher. Despite Brom's plots to win Katrina over, Ichabod believed he would be chosen as her favorite. After a party at her father's home, Ichabod proposed to Katrina and was very quickly rejected. He immediately rode off in shame and was never seen in Sleepy Hollow again. According to Crane, he was chased out of town by the Headless Horseman, but in reality it was probably just another one of Brom's pranks. Bluebeards Mercy, Bluebeard's last wife. After a long line of marriages resulting in mysterious disappearances, Bluebeard's last wife in the homelands was naturally suspicious of him. One day he departed on business, leaving her alone in his estate. He gave her free reign of all the rooms, but made her promise not to open the closet on the ground floor. She defied him, of course, and discovered the location of his missing wives. When Bluebeard returned, he knew he must kill her before she revealed his murderous secret. She persuaded him to allow her a moment to pray, which he reluctantly granted. This small mercy gave her brothers time to arrive and rescue her, and Bluebeard's crimes were exposed. 13th Floor, the Witches and Wizards of Fabletown. The 13th floor of the Woodland building is home to a group of witches and wizards tasked with the protection of Fabletown. They use their powers to keep the community hidden from prying Mundy eyes, but all magic has its limits, and every spell has its cost. The Magic Mirror. The Magic Mirror speaks mostly in rhyme and demands that others do the same. He also requires the name of whatever object or person you wish to find. If you follow these rules, the mirror will show you a glimpse of whatever you want to see, but nothing more. The Witching Well. The witching well is located in a chamber inside the woodland building, where it is used to dispose of things meant never to be seen again. Dead fables are committed to its depths, as are the most unredeemable criminals. No one is entirely sure what lies at the bottom of the well, nor indeed if it has a bottom at all, but it is widely assumed to be the passageway to the final resting place. Spooky. Jack Horner, harmless trickster. Jack is always up to something, but he's not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. His plans to get rich quick often backfire, but his confidence never wavers. He thinks he's the most important person in Fabletown, but everybody knows him as a mostly harmless smartass. Decapitated Lily, estranged sister. Lily and her sister Holly grew up in the homelands together, but had a falling out shortly after moving to the mundane world. Aimless and increasingly destitute, Lily turned to prostitution, and now she's the second victim in an ongoing murder investigation. Troll Cross, Lily's brooch? I've never known that word. A troll cross is an amulet made of iron that was foolishly thought to protect the wearer from trolls. Lily acquired hers while wandering through the wilderness searching for something to eat. She came across a human, but before she could devour him, he held the troll cross out and shouted, "Back! Back, you troll!" After enjoying her tasty snack, Lily plucked the cross from the dead man's hands. After the exodus, she wore the troll cross constantly as a reminder of better days. Georgie Porgie, the pimp. Georgie runs the Pudding and Pie, a strip club that also caters to the unmentionable desires of Fabletown citizens. He has tried just about everything there is to try in pursuit of worldly pleasures, but none of it satisfies him for long. He does seem to enjoy pushing people's buttons. He takes pride in his nightclub and doesn't react well to anyone meddling in his affairs. Clever Hans, bouncer, janitor, handyman. Clever Hans always does exactly as he's told. However, he often misunderstands his instructions and ends up hurting himself or behaving oddly, as in the case of his noted fable, where he threw sheep's eyes at his wife. Ugh. Unsurprisingly, she left him, and now Hans works as a bouncer at Georgie's club. He hopes to dance on stage one day, but for now he's content sweeping up and making sure the crowd doesn't get out of hand. Nerissa, the Little Mermaid. Nerissa's story never had a happy ending. She's known as the Little Mermaid, the young girl who gave up her tail for a pair of legs in the hopes of winning the heart of a handsome prince. When he married a princess instead, Nerissa was left heartbroken. She made the journey to the mundane world hoping for a better life. Now, she dances at the Pudding and Pie, but each step she takes feels like walking on shards of glass. She has very little left, but finds some comfort in the company of her fellow dancers. Troll Funeral Rites, the Long Absence. The gaze of Great Mother Death is always upon us. Beneath her affectionate eye, we fight our battles, we nurse our wounds, we shout our victories, we endure our sorrows, and when we fall, she is there. Her embrace is the silence of the mountain, the heavy pace of the stone. Approximately translated. A troll funeral is a sacred ritual passed down by oral traditions from troll mother to son. It begins at sunset with the creation of a cairn, a small pile of stones to represent the many generations of trolls that have traveled and died before them. The foundation upon which the living stand. Weapons are divided amongst the trolls' closest comrades. The body and the rest of their possessions are burned, and though each viewer must speak to the life of the lost, the eulogy's candor would make a Monday blush. Vivian, Georgie's girl. Much of Vivian's past is unknown since she prefers not to talk about her life back in the homelands. She wanted to start fresh in Fabletown, but she finds herself working for Georgie at the Pudding and Pie. It's not a terrible life. Georgie took a liking to Vivian, so he doesn't make her take jobs at the open arms. Instead, she plays hostess and helps Georgie ensure complete customer satisfaction. Dr. Swinehart, the Army Surgeon. Dr. Swinehart is the resident Fabletown physician. So skilled in the art of instrumental surgery that he can safely operate on himself, he served as an army medic for many years, sometimes using his talents to impress the locals. He currently runs the Special Research Section of the Knights of Malta Hospital, so named to discourage people for investigating what is actually a reserved, Fables-focused health facility. Flycatcher, the Frog Prince. A former prince turned to a frog by a witch, the friendly Denial Flycatcher now carries the nickname as an unsubtle reference to his propensity for catching and eating flies. His wife and their children were brutally murdered back in the homelands, a fact he attempts to deny himself by committing to a series of endless tasks and janitorial duties. I actually like Flycatcher, he was great. The Headless Horseman, the Hessian Spirit. Thought to be the spirit of a particularly fearsome, especially macabre German military contractor, the Headless Horseman lost his head from cannon fire during the Revolutionary War. Most famous for hounding Ichabod Crane one night in the woods of Sleepy Hollow, it is rumored that this phantom is only the most recent incarnation of a primordial demon whose previous forms included a middle-aged chieftain who brandished a whip made from human bone, and a Scottish lord who was decapitated in a fight over shares of land. Interesting. The Triptrap Bar, the watering hole. The oldest bar in New York City, the Triptrap was established in 1725 in secret by Starcad, the legendary Viking and reprobate, as a place for fables to meet and drink and commiserate. Known then as the Grammarian's Tavern, he eventually lost it in a bet to a tribe of mountain trolls, who quickly renamed it and made it their own. That's Holly. Holly is the current proprietor, having inherited it from her mother when she died in a boating accident in the early 20th century. Auntie Greenleaf, the White Deer. A horticulturist, there we go, alchemist and lover of animals, Auntie Greenleaf is one of the few rogue witches still living outside of the 13th floor, unsupervised and unrestricted. Rumored to have lost a daughter in the homelands, she suffers paranoia and depressive mood swings, and will only venture outside at irregular hours under the guise of an ethereal white deer, an oft-whispered specter of Brookhaven natives. Glamour Tree, the Last Seed. Grown from a seed spirited away from her family's enchanted orchard, this tree is the sole remaining source of Auntie Greenleaf's magic enhancements. Its bark is used for glamour tubes, its leaves are crushed for ointments and spells, and its twigs and sticks can be used as rods for a variety of entrancing purposes. Ooh. Glamour Tube, the handy disguise. Glamours can be produced in a variety of ways, but one of the most common due to its ease of use is to take a small, hollowed-out tube or container and place within it several items unique to whomever the caster wants to copy. A witch is required to the reactionary charm. A witch is required for the reactionary charm. Two downsides of this type of glamour is that totally unique appearances are completely impossible, and the nature of the vessel makes it quite unstable. Ring of Dispel, the Arthurian Band. Reputed to be fashioned by a Byzantine clan in an attempt to ward off a coven of witches, the Ring of Dispel, or Dispelling Ring, or Magic Cancelling Ring, eventually was given to Lancelot by the Lady in the Lake. Recovered by the business office after the emigration to New Amsterdam, it was assigned to Greenleaf for caretaking. That's actually kind of interesting. Okay, folks, so I'm going to end that again for today. Please join me next time when I'll read the final part of the Book of Fables. I'm pretty sure the next one might be just as long as this one, but yeah, we're almost there. Thank you very much for joining me for another reading video, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, folks.